Nobody calls the police about a slow leak. A couple of episodes back, I gave you the 2 loud things a year can do to your chart. Clash, chong, something gets moved. Combination, heat, something gets locked. Both of them announce themselves. You know the year it happened. You can name the month. You have a story ready when somebody asks. But some years don't announce anything. Nothing detonates, nothing gets signed. You just come out the other end with a smaller life and no story to explain it. A friendship that didn't end exactly. It just stopped being warm. A back that started hurting in March and never really stopped. A job you kept and kept and kept. That is the other half of this system. Classical BaZi has 4 branch relationships, not 2. I told you at the end of that episode that I left 2 out on purpose because they deserved their own 12 minutes instead of 90 rush seconds. This is me coming back for them. Punishment, xing, and harm, hai, the slow ones. If this is your first one, Jimmy, I've spent 20 years being handed people's bodies. Turns out the same system will hand you their timing, same engine underneath both, yin, yang, and the 5 elements. Nothing mystical, just an old model that happens to be very good at describing pressure. Let's go. Quick foundation, 30 seconds, because everything today sits on it. Your chart has 8 characters. 4 on top, those are the stems. 4 underneath, those are the branches, and they're the 12 animals. The stems tell you what kind of energy is in play. The branches are where things physically happen. Your body, your address, your marriage, your work. Stems talk, branches collide. Everything in this episode happens on the bottom row. If you only remember one sentence from the last 3 episodes, make it that one. Now, I can keep talking about a stranger's chart, or you can go get the one you actually care about. Your call, but do it now, not after. easternreading.com, it's free, it takes 30 seconds, there's no sign up, and the link is sitting in the description. Nothing happens until you come back. That's the deal. You're back and you're holding evidence. Let's use it. We're starting with harm because harm has a clean definition and almost nobody gives it to you. Here's the definition. Harm is what happens when something arrives and clashes your ally. Remember combination. Certain pairs of branches lock together and start behaving like one thing. Rat with ox, tiger with pig, rabbit with dog, dragon with rooster, snake with monkey, horse with goat, 6 pairs. Now watch. Say you're a rat. Your combination partner is the ox. The ox is the one you're locked to. Along comes a goat year. The goat doesn't touch you at all. The goat isn't your opposite. It isn't your clash. What the goat does is smash straight into the ox. It doesn't hit you. It takes your support out from under you. That's harm, rat and goat. And every single one of the 6 harms is built exactly the same way. Take a branch, find who it combines with, find who clashes that partner. That third one is the harm. So here's the list. Rat and goat, ox and horse, tiger and snake, rabbit and dragon, monkey and pig, rooster and dog. 6 pairs. You don't have to memorize them any more than you had to memorize the clashes. You have to find yours. Now, what does harm actually feel like in a life in real time? It does not feel like an event. That's the whole point. Clash feels like a moving truck. Harm feels like the phone not ringing. The most common shapes, someone you counted on quietly becomes unavailable. Not an argument, a slow withdrawal. Support that was structural turns out to be conditional. A sibling stops calling. A mentor gets busy. The person who used to cover for you at work is suddenly on a different project permanently. The second shape is physical, and this is the one my acupuncture training keeps flagging. Harm years are the years chronic things start, not dramatic illness. the low-grade version, the shoulder, the gut, the sleep that never fully came back. And the third shape is the ugly one, small betrayals. Not enemies, allies who were tired or scared or overcommitted and who chose themselves. Harm is very rarely malicious. That's precisely why it's hard to see coming. If clash is an accident, harm is erosion. Now punishment, xing. And I want to be straight with you before I start. This is the least standardized corner of the whole system. Different lineages count them differently, weight them differently, and a couple of schools quietly ignore one of the groups entirely. I'll tell you what the classical texts actually say, and I'll tell you where they disagree. That's more than you usually get. Punishment comes in 3 groups plus 1 special case. Group 1, tiger, snake, monkey. The classical name for it translates as the punishment of no gratitude, wu en zhi xing. Its signature is help that turns into cost. You do somebody a favour, and the favour becomes an obligation, and the obligation becomes a grievance. Partnerships that started as generosity and ended in a lawyer's office. If you have 2 of these 3 animals in your 4 branches and the third one shows up as a year, that's the pattern the year is built out of. Group 2, ox, dog, goat. The punishment of leaning on your position, 是是之行. All 3 of those are earth. All 3 of them are storage, they're the branches that hold things. When they punish, the shape is someone uses the leverage they happen to have because they happen to have it. Office politics, family money. The boss who isn't cruel, just extremely aware of who reports to whom. And because it's all earth, it's slow, it's grinding, and it usually involves property, inheritance, or paperwork. Group 3, rat and rabbit. Only 2 members. The odd one out. The punishment of no courtesy, wu li zhi xing. This is the intimacy one. It's about boundaries between people who are close enough that boundaries feel unnecessary. Family that reads your mail, a partner who treats your time as shared property. It's the smallest punishment on paper, and it does an enormous amount of quiet damage because it happens inside the relationships you can't leave. And then the special case, self-punishment, zixing. 4 branches punish themselves, dragon, horse, rooster, pig. Meaning, if the same one of those 4 shows up twice in your chart, or a year brings you a second copy of one you already have, that's a self-punishment. Go look right now. Do you have the same animal twice on your bottom row? If it's dragon, horse, rooster, or pig, that's this. And self-punishment reads exactly like it sounds. Nobody is doing this to you. It's the overwork nobody asked for. The standard you set that nobody else can see. The rumination at 2 in the morning about a conversation from Tuesday. It's the one branch relationship where the other party is you, which honestly makes it the most useful one in the entire episode. A clash you can blame on a year. A self-punishment you can actually do something about on a Wednesday. 3 moves. Do them on your own chart in this order. 1. Find your combinations before you look for anything else. Write your 4 branches down, and next to each one, write who it locks with. Rat ox, tiger pig, rabbit dog, dragon rooster, snake monkey, horse goat. You cannot see a harm until you know who your allies are. That's the whole mechanism. 2. Look for doubles. Same animal twice anywhere in your 4. If it's dragon, horse, rooster, or pig, you carry a self-punishment natally. It's a temperament, not an event, and it'll be loudest in whichever pillar the pair sits in. 3. Count how close you are to completing a trio. If you already have tiger and snake, you are 1 monkey year away from a full punishment. If you have ox and dog, a goat year completes it. 2 out of 3 is the setup. The year brings the 3rd card. And that's the actual value of knowing this, not prediction, preparation. There is a real difference between walking into a year blind and walking into it thinking the shape of trouble available to me this year is the slow, structural kind, so I should be checking on my allies and my body, not bracing for a plot twist. Here's where I talk myself down. 3 things. 1. These two are weak forces. Clash and combination are structural. They rearrange the chart. Punishment and harm are textural. They color a year, they don't decide it. If a harm and a clash land in the same year, the clash is the story and the harm is a footnote in it. Anyone who reads you a terrifying forecast built purely on a harm is selling something. 2. The lineages genuinely disagree here, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Some traditions treat the ox-dog-goat group as barely worth mentioning. Some only count a punishment when all 3 members are present at once. Others count 2 plus an incoming year, which is what I've taught you today. Some drop self-punishment entirely. When a system has that much internal disagreement, the honest move is to hold it loosely and check it against your actual life. 3. Punishment and harm are the 2 most abused relationships in commercial fortune-telling, and it's not close. They have frightening names, they're vague enough to fit any bad year in hindsight, and vague plus frightening is a business model. The names are translations of Chinese legal and moral vocabulary from 1,000 years ago. Xing was a word for judicial penalty. Hai just means damage. They were describing mechanics, not issuing verdicts about your soul. So unlearn this. A punishment year is not a punishment. It's friction with a specific shape and a specific source. And most of the time, the source is a pattern you are already running. Everything I just did to these charts, you can do to yours. EasternReading.com costs nothing. Next episode, we go after the layer everybody wants first, and almost nobody should get first. The symbolic stars. Shen Shah, the nobleman, the peach blossom, the travelling horse, the void. There are 100 and something of them, most are decoration, and about 6 actually change how a chart reads. I'll tell you which 6 and why the rest survived anyway. I want 1 line from you down below, just 1. Look at your 4 branches and tell me if you carry a double. Dragon, horse, rooster, or pig, twice. Just write the animal and 1 word for what it costs you, like horse, sleep, or rooster, perfectionism. And if you don't have one, write clean, and I'll believe you. I read them, all of them. That's the whole method. Go break it on your own chart. See you next time.